on like a Donkey Kong.
Swinging.
There we go.
Alright.
Alright, well, welcome everybody back. Two Men and a Scotch, episode 4. I know it's been a little while, so for everybody out there, we apologize. Life's been a little crazy.
Yeah, well, it's been a little crazy, and you had a young man that was a little under the weather.
Yeah,
so
dealt with that as well.
Yeah.
Plus, we're in the middle of a COVID pandemic, right? And it's just
Right.
kind of coming to an end. But still, between all of that, no excuses. Two Men and a Scotch are back.
boom.
But before we even get started,
What? We have to
first and
drink?
foremost,
Toast.
we do have to toast.
Okay.
But we got to introduce our drink here first, right?
You're
So I know we're Two Men and a Scotch, but today it's a whiskey again, right? So we got the Woodford Reserve. Still is like
He's been drinking
already. We've been nipping a little bit. Once again, another fantastic overall whiskey. I've enjoyed this one in the past, but I think tonight.
This is the small bottle.
This is the small bottle
Right.
for the non-alcoholics.
Right.
Again, as always, toast to
Oh.
you. Wait. Well, let's toast first, then we'll toast to her.
Okay.
All right, toast to you.
Right.
Toast to you.
Just you.
Thank you. Oh, that's so nice. Now, we do have to give a special shout out tonight. Okay.
Special shout out to my daughter Sarah and her husband Brandon, and they were very kind and sent some special ice trays and these two beautiful glasses specifically for the show. So
Thank
I
you,
love
Sarah.
you. Thank you.
Thanks for being fans, and thank you for
Awesome.
sharing with your friends, and thank you for the kind gifts. We really appreciate it, and we'll continue these shows for our people that continue to watch. We hope that we're teaching, we're learning. I hope we talk about topics that at least get people to think, because that's what's most important.
Right.
Is that we at least do some thought-starting stuff. Now,
That's nice whiskey, by the way.
it is a nice whiskey. Yeah.
You're not choking tonight. It's a nice whiskey.
Yeah, the outtakes. Yeah,
We should have kept that rolling.
Yeah,
Anyway.
well, some great outtakes. Well, tonight's topic, a little different than usual. So last few episodes, we've really been talking to people in regards to how to shift your mindset, how to stay focused on yourself, your goals, how to embrace the suck is a topic we've talked about. But tonight, you and I kind of got to talking and really started to think about, and I've titled this, okay? And I'm going to preface it once I say it. But the title of tonight's topic is Why Some Employers Suck, okay? And I know my employer will probably watch it and kind of go, well, wow, but here's the thing, right?
It'll go. You want to watch?
Yeah, well, that's probably true. Here's the thing,
So-
we've both been employers.
So yes.
So some of the topics we talk about tonight are personal to us because it was us too.
Right.
So we've both been employees and employers, and so tonight, again, why some employers suck, and we want to really hit on some topics that really hit people probably every single day.
Yeah, and some of this came too because of COVID, because there's a lot of furloughs and layoffs, and and now business is kind of starting to open back up, and so there's been just a smattering of a few people at their spots because the businesses are trying to save their way to the profit, and now all of a sudden business is coming back, and they aren't hiring any more people. They're just keeping that small little amount of crew, and they're getting overran.
Slaughtered. Let's just call it what it is.
And it's just it's not a smart move. It's not a fair move.
And I mean, just in observance as I'm managing a team, one thing I'm looking at is now the amount of phone volume, physical traffic, the demand. It maybe it's a false positive, but what happened is that it hit the bottom. We started to open back up, and now business is really starting to spike back aggressively.
Right.
And really, to paint this picture, come mid-March, as things were starting to shut down, we have employers who clearly stated, we don't know what's coming, so out of fear, make a decision, and not just fear, out of probably no reserves because of decisions they've made previous to the pandemic, let's furlough, lay employees off. And again, I'm going to hit people right between the eyes here, okay? I'm as real as it gets, okay? I'm wearing my real AF shirt. Okay?
AF is ass.
As fuck.
Oh, ass.
Oh.
I thought it was ass. Sorry.
No. And this is Andy Frisella. Sure, I'm going to give Andy Frisella credit because
Right.
it's his own podcast.
No,
Okay.
and it is a good podcast.
Yeah. And so, to be
In fact,
real.
maybe we can be on his or he can be on ours.
Absolutely.
That'd be
Yeah, his run about as long as ours do.
cool.
Like to shorten it. But here we go. Pandemic hits. We don't know what's going on. We don't have the cash reserves.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we treat people like there's no value, right?
Right.
And so we've got these weird cultures in these companies where we want to create this company where we make our employees feel valued. But the true test now comes with pandemic. I got to either lay you off or furlough you.
Right.
You know, and in some instances where I'm going to give some employers credit, me placing you on furlough to get unemployment, plus you were going to be more apt to make money away from work. But you and I both know in upper management that we've been there. That's not what they're thinking.
No. And a lot of times when you hit this, companies end up running from CFOs, and they just count the beans. That's all. They forget the fact that all the people actually make the beans, that make the coffee. And if you get rid of all of those people, you really don't have much to count. So you're trying to save your way to the profit. The big thing is it goes back to even our first podcast, communication, because I don't feel that employers engage with all of their people enough to understand who they have working for them.
I'm sorry. You said employers engage with their
Right.
people like it happens. You say enough,
Right.
but you define me once in maybe your career where an employer truly knew who Bob Concy was and what his desires were, and to help him achieve his goals and dreams, because then he'll help achieve the company's goals and dreams.
Right. Well, that's that company. Actually, the company I'm working for right now is that way. I'm like blown away and impressed at all of these people and how much they care about their team, and I mean, you are treated like family. And they look out for you.
Good. So to who I know your
But they
company,
painted a picture.
I got it. I get your company that you're working for. They may be watching this, and great job. When I say some employers suck, you're not part of the sum.
That's right. You're the leaders of the group.
You're the leaders of the group.
Right.
But here's the thing: your company's about 8 years old. It's probably new, right? It's up and growing. It's still young. It's still an infant.
Yeah, I mean the leaders of this have been in the industry for quite
Sure.
some time.
But their company's in infancy stage,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so our hopes
2012.
are don't lose it.
Right.
Keep it going. So some of the employers that I'm going to discuss and talk about, the owner doesn't even know who his employees are.
Right. And that's probably one of our big points there, is that they don't know who their people are. And they don't know if they have a family, they don't know what they like to do, what their goals are. And for me too, for people that have worked with me, I mean, I want to know who they are, I want to know what they want to do. Is this going to be your job, Brian? Is this really what you want to do? No, I want to go do this. Okay, well, let's talk about what are the characteristics and what are the tools that you need to be able to go do that. And then we talk about those and discuss those, and then it's like, you know what, you can learn those here, and I'm more than happy to help you learn them. I'm more than happy to help project you to what you want to do. By doing that, I just want your commitment.
Yeah. It's one thing to do with my employees as well. I mean, before I even paint that picture, let's take a look at, in a lot of instances, people are at their work life, their work families, if you will,
Right.
more than they may spend time with their real families. We're prime examples where we worked so hard in an industry to build our teams up, to build our companies up.
Right.
And then we come home and it's a couple of hours with the real family, if you will. So we become families with our employees. So back to it, the one thing we talk about is definitely in our management style is get to know your employee. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? One thing I know is you're not going to probably hold this position for any level of duration. you're either going to promote or you're going to move on.
Right.
So I teach, and it's important that anybody out there managing people teaches that, listen, what you're doing here is like a scrimmage for life.
Right.
So the things you're going to learn here, you keep for life. That's what I tell the college students I interview or anybody coming in from somewhere else. The things you will learn here, you will keep for life. And all I can ask is you learn them, you do them well here, you get to practice every single day, and teach somebody else, because as we learn and enhance more, when we start to teach, we start to more deepen our understanding of things. But it's really critical. An employee that feels like you value their goals is going to feel valued. And it doesn't mean that you have to review them every week, every month, every quarter. Hell, maybe not even annually. I know that some old school management thinking is having a review.
I'm not too pumped on reviews. I gotta tell you, I've been in some reviews where, more than not, where it's said like, well, you know, you're hitting all these metrics, but I can't give you the top score because I've been told not to, because everybody has their way to grow a little more. And I'm like, you know, why are we freaking sitting here talking?
Useless platitude.
Absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're being honest because you don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
You know, so do you want to switch positions? So, you know, I don't hold much weight in that. But you know, it goes back to too, also, you as an employee. I mean, if you have somebody above you that's good and a good person and cares about you and wants to move you ahead because they want you to help move them ahead, then do that. Don't backdoor them and you know, don't get into a little mix of, oh, this guy's, this guy or gal's a jerk, and so, you know, we need to get him out of here or whatever. Give him all you got.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about touchy-feely management here. Really what we're talking about, there's a big difference
between... You can't have touchy-feely anymore.
Well, that's an HR thing,
right?
What we're talking about is connecting versus managing. And I don't care whether you're an employee or a manager, a supervisor, lead, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your position is. In my mind, everybody's a leader, right? The thing I always challenge them is, where do you lead people to? If you're the bitcher and the complainer, you're a leader because you're pulling people to you. That's leadership, but you're leading them down a dark hole.
But it's sad.
It is sad, but it doesn't matter. It's still leadership.
You're hurting people.
Absolutely. Negative or positive, it's still leadership. But the difference between connecting and managing, right? There's still companies out there that surprise me that it's, you go do your job, you pack that, you do this, you stand that, you fix this. True management style, okay? Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, man, I can't wait to get managed today. Whew! I look forward to my management today.
Right.
Even managers don't want to manage, but there's a difference of connecting. But why do more people not connect?
Right.
Well, it's because it takes time, it takes energy, it takes effort. I have to get to know somebody. Then they're going to see me as a friend versus I'm their boss. No, you can draw clear lines in a connection.
Right.
I mean, you've connected with people like that, where they go, man, Bob is awesome, but Bob is also a jerk.
Right.
Because they've seen...
Well, you're either on my team or you're not. I mean, you know, if you want to get another job or whatever, I'll pick up the phone, make the calls, and get you the job. I'll drive you to the interview. I mean, I have no problem with that. If I can propel you to what you want, I'm all about that. But I need you to be all about that with me too. Yeah. We need to be, you know, a team on that. But I've been in situations too where there's been some mid-level management that are just an ass or a bitch. And I mean, I've had sometimes where I've had to go
There's no play on words.
Yeah, I've had to like knock on the door, close their door, sit down and go, hey, I'm not your typical, you know, manager out there or your typical, you know, worker bee. I'm happy to help you. I understand why you're angry and I understand why you're closed. But all you got to do is tell me what you need in order to be successful, and I will deliver just that. And in that, I need you to back me 100% in what I need to do.
So what are you talking about? You're talking about communication, vision, trust.
Yes.
So paint the picture for me, communicate with me when things aren't going right. And you know what? Trust me to get the job done. I'm going to trust you that you're not backstabbing and backdooring me.
And you know what? Here's the thing too. Every manager that I've done that with, well, I can't say everyone. Most of the people I've done that with were like, okay. And we became very tight, and it was just a great, they need something, they just call me, I'm like, done. I needed something, they just, get it right through.
And listen, everybody listening to this out here, this isn't just a management to employee thing. This is employee to employee thing. I'll give you a prime example today. I have 2 employees at a particular one of my stores, one of my locations, and I'm constantly getting text messages, or my face-to-face engagements is that other employee, she needs to more do her job. And then I hear from her, he is constantly not doing his. He's not around. He's making it harder for me. And finally, I got to a point where I said, guys, enough.
Right.
Enough. I'm not going to be your sounding board to this. If you guys are going to want to take care of this, you're going to have to collaborate through this.
Right.
I'm telling you, employee, to go engage with that employee, and I need you to tell them that when you do this, it makes me feel like.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then once that clarity is there, if that person's going to continue to act and behave in no consideration of your feelings, then they're just an asshole. They're just a prick.
Right.
They now have understanding and are consciously and choosing to act that way. That's to me.
But then you can shut them down. They're dead to you at that point. You just do whatever you need to do. You don't treat them in a negative way. You still give them the respect because they're a human being. I mean, you didn't raise them, and you can't change their anger or anxiety or whatever they're battling, but you have to respect them as a human. But you can limit your interaction with them, and if they want to throw barbs at you and call you names, then so be it. I mean,
anybody out there who's ever complained about another employee, bitched, had a feeling of negative, let it actually saturate you, here's the question I have for you. How does your feeling, your complaints affect the other person?
Right.
It doesn't. But how does it affect you?
Right.
How much of your day do you give away allowing that to happen?
Yeah. Don't let the people have the power.
We have a friend again, right?
We do?
We got a friend where I said some things.
We have to have the button.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he stated that I offended him. And my statement to him is, I did not offend you. You chose to be offended. I just made a statement.
Off of the information that you supplied.
Absolutely.
I just gave it back to you.
Aggressively. Right? It was
Well,
a punch in the face.
You're
Because
still
once
a punch
again,
in the face.
I'm going to be as real as I'm going to be.
That is for as, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Not ass. Okay.
Yes, as.
Well, no, good.
Yeah. Here's the thing. As an employee, you can feel like you're being used and abused. Right? You can feel like the employer is just, they don't care, they don't value, they're sitting you in a spot. I can't get any assistance, I can't get any help, I can't get anything. Here's the thing. What I'm trying to do is shift. Just shift. Remember this word. It's a simple word. Just shift. Anytime you're feeling something negative, shift. If you feel like you're being used, shift and go, how can I learn in this position I'm in?
Boom.
Take something away.
I was just going to say.
Let me grab what I need. Let me get this paid education, right?
Yeah.
We pay for college.
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars to go learn something. Your employer pays you to learn something.
Right.
So learn
And
something.
You hit the big thing on the head. Whether the person's a good person or a complete ass, doesn't matter. There's something you can take from them. You can. I don't mean take as
take their life. Right.
Yeah. Take their Mr. Goggins. Take their soul.
Yeah, I love it.
But there are things that you can learn from people that are, in a zone. They're in their own place. But don't judge them for that. That's where they want to live.
They are who they are.
Enjoy it. I hope it's working for you. But what can you take, and make yourself better?
here's another point.
We're kind of getting off the point of.
Well, we are and we're not. Okay, because in the end, this is all going to come down to how does this affect me? How does this affect you?
Right.
Again, I'm going to go back to judgment. When somebody comes in and they are the way they are, asshole, prick, jerk, standoffish, take advantage of people, whatever, they are who they are. We have no control. Here's a bold statement I'm going to make. When you decide to judge that person, you can make yourself just as bad as that person. Because thou shalt not judge, and this is no religious teaching. Of course, I was Bible thumped, Southern Baptist raised. I'm not overly religious, but there's some truth to it. When I judge somebody for the way they are, I'm actually devaluing myself for being a judgment holder.
Yeah. And doesn't that, and that happens. That's going to happen to everybody. I mean, there's times that I'll get mad or whatever, and I'll start thinking things, and I'm like, wait a minute. Stop freaking judging, Bob. You're not the judge and jury. Stop it.
Just say, thank God I'm not them.
Thank God for them being in my life.
Absolutely.
Thank God for the stuff that I
what are they
learned
teaching?
From them.
Patience.
Yes.
Maybe they're teaching you, consideration and empathy of what they've gone through. I always have an outlook where I go, man, what have they gone through to get to where they have to, where they are? And let's say they are somebody who's very standoffish and what we'll call is just a prick. What did they go through that they feel like they have to put these walls up? Why can't you break through? Prime story. As a young service advisor, a new person comes in that just changed the entire way we played the game. We all had our own appointments. We all dealt with our own customers. We were all very grateful for each other. And we all were pretty average. And then this new guy comes in, and he just shifted the way he did things. He did things completely different than the rest of us. And what did the rest of the team immediately do? He's got to be a thief. He's a liar.
Right.
He's stealing. He's not following the rules. And they're in the manager's office. Knock.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to do something about this guy. Get his ass fired. So instead of us reflecting, going, how can I be better? Let's get rid of that guy.
Yeah. Right.
What I call crab in the bucket syndrome.
Yeah. Or even going to that guy and going, dude, kind of pissing me off here. What's going on? And maybe you're going to learn something by having a conversation with that person.
That was this guy, right? And so giving the crab in the bucket syndrome, take a look at the people you work with. How many are crabs in the bucket? What does that mean? That means when one crab is starting to get out of the bucket, the rest of the crabs pull them down. This is why crab buckets have an open lid, because they self-regulate themselves and pull each other down. Aren't we a little bit the same as humans? So this guy comes in.
Bastard crabs.
Let's eat those fuckers. This guy comes in, he's been called a crook, a thief, and whatnot. I just decided to observe. And then one day I finally decided to ask, what is it you do and how did you figure out to do this?
Right.
And what found out is everything that he was called a cheater on, no, he was just sharper. He had a different process. He had a different way of answering phones, different way of setting appointments. He would print out his own appointment sheet. Nobody there thought that print out my electronic appointment sheet so I can see who's coming in each day. Right? You think he's a thief.
He was handling his business.
He was handling his business. Right. And so there were 6 of us. He was one of the 6. There was 5, and then he came in, he was number 6. 4 of the 6 rather complained, bitched, whined about all the things he was doing. One guy decided to observe, become better, and then try to be as good as he was in his numbers. And
so he made you better.
He made me better.
Right.
And here's the thing. I never beat him, but he made me 20, 30, 40% better in the income I was producing. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to lie. He was a jerk and a prick to people. He had horrible customer satisfaction.
You can tell him that, too.
Yeah, he had horrible customer satisfaction. But certain aspects that he was doing were phenomenal in how he managed his business.
So
that's
what you want to take.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I took that, right? Call it a filter. I took all of him, filtered the crap out,
right,
and I took the strength of what he was. Every one of you are working with somebody that you can learn something from.
Yeah.
Something. Anything.
Yeah.
So stop judging, stop bitching, stop complaining.
It doesn't matter what the job is. It does not matter what the level or the job is.
Yeah, I don't care if you're a bus driver, I don't care if you're a mechanic, I don't care if you're a nurse, I don't care what it is.
Right.
You can learn something from everybody. And you're either going to learn what to do or what you want to do or what not to do and be grateful that you're not that. But one way or another, you're going to learn from people. Right. But the biggest part of this for me, once again, don't judge, okay, and learn to shift. Everybody who's watching this right now has had a shitty day at work.
And that's hard to do, but it's something that's self-work.
Well,
it's
let me tell you this. If it was easy to do,
right.
Everybody would do it.
That's true. I heard, I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name. It was on one of Tom Bilyeu's podcasts.
Okay, Tom Bilyeu, another great motivational speaker.
He's a great guy.
CEO.
Got a lot of great people that comes onto his show.
What was the topic about? I've seen most of his episodes.
I just bought this man's book.
Hell, he's had everybody on there.
Anyway, the bottom line was for him, I'll pull it up. He was talking about, even religion, and he even talked about, what's the main thing you have to do. I mean, it was said, love one another like I've loved you. Love your neighbor as yourself. And he made a great point on it. He said, if everybody in the world did that, it would be heaven on earth. And I thought, boom, what a great point. So to the judgment point, that's what I'm speaking to. When we judge somebody, we're judging ourselves.
Yeah, remember my story I told, I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago, about the person on the subway. He's too quiet, he's reserved,
right.
Bumping into people, how rude he was, not recognizing and realizing that his wife had just passed away.
Right.
Don't go to judge. Try to be empathetic again, right? And we've already talked about that, but try to get focus back on topic.
Right.
Okay.
I do want to, pimp this guy.
Well, you pimp this guy, but I'm going to go back to why some employers suck. And why some employers suck is because people are nothing more than just material to them. Nothing more than the material we sell, we fix, we manufacture. People aren't material. They're worth investing in. We miss that day and age where people would spend 10, 15, 20 plus years. My grandfather spent 30 years with Kimberly-Clark, working a warehouse job out of all things, because the company was invested in him, took care of him. Every anniversary would celebrate him, understood his whole family structure, understood my grandmother, all of their children. I mean, they were just invested in this world now. It's either because it's moving too fast, or we just have lost all value in connecting with people. I got to tell you, I've hired hundreds of people in my career. It's exhausting to hire and hire and hire. Why not invest in people?
Right.
Why not give them purpose? Why not have some purpose in their purpose?
And that's our point.
It's our exact point.
Who are you? Where do you want to go? What are you about? What's your family about? What does success look like for you? Here's what it looks like for me. I mean, can we work together and do this? I'll help you get where you want to be. I mean, it'd be wonderful as a boss or owner to have a employee you're working with that goes, I want to do what you're doing. I want to stand in your shoes. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm all over that.
And again, not just from a management level. We're all employees in some instance, right? If we're not the employer, okay. And so I'm going to talk employer or employee. It doesn't matter to me right now. You've got brothers and sisters you're working next to,
right?
So if I'm a regular employee and I see another employee struggling, and this is my challenge to everybody out there, you see another employee struggling, quit judging, put your arm around him, and go, dude, why? Why are you acting this way? Yeah. How can I help you? Why do you feel this way?
Yeah, I did it today.
But they feel like it's conflict.
I did it today. A colleague was like, I've got this and that, and like this is blowing up and blah, blah, blah. And I said, whoa, what can I do to help you? And they were like, I'm good. I got it. But thank you. Yeah. So, they were like, and it brought that person back down a little bit, because they were like, somebody actually freaking cares.
So it goes back to my story about the screaming customers. Sometimes they just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Let me connect. And hearing is connecting, right? Just want to be heard. How many times I've got employees that are just, I cannot believe that this happened. I cannot believe this customer happened.
Right.
And then it's somebody like me that goes, they'll say that customer was a real blank. And
Right.
I go, were they? Or were they maybe just having a bad day?
Yeah.
Were they maybe needing somebody that would just understand them and connect with them, and it could have been better? Maybe they just lost somebody. Maybe they just had a bad day. Maybe they just got fired. Maybe they got furloughed. Maybe they got laid off.
Right.
Maybe they got a family member that's sick. Maybe they're having money troubles. How would you react if you had money troubles? And real quickly, once again, we go back to empathy and sympathy, right? Empathy, I place myself in your shoes. Right. Sympathy, I feel bad for what you're going through.
Right.
And basis of customer service, basis of service, basis of medicine, basis of everything, we've just lost empathy and sympathy so many times with people.
I talked with a gentleman today that was, I could tell right away from the first interaction on the call that he was in a different spot. I mean, he didn't want to even mess with me or even talk to me, and so I cut the conversation and I just said, hey, Brian, sounds like you're in a bad spot today. I'm sorry your day's not rolling the way it should. I want you to know that I care about you, and I'm going to talk to you at another time. I hope the rest of the day gets better for you. I'm out. Cheers. Boom. Hung up.
So, a previous episode, towards the end, you were talking a story about some of the things you were going through, and we started to talk about, we said one quote, I highlighted it up on the screen for everybody to see, and that was embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing.
That's David Goggins, by the way.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Not everybody who is at a job as an employee has a sucky employer.
No.
Not everybody does, but you're going to have some bad days. But talking about embracing the suck, I really want to deep dive into this a little bit more. And we started to touch on it a bit today, but again, back into shifting mindsets. In the end of this thing, it's about learning. And when I think about back in 2001, when I first got into a particular career and everything I had to learn, there are a lot of bad days when you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Right? Because you're fumbling a lot. You're failing a lot.
Which, I'm going to just interrupt. Don't lose your point or where you're going.
Let's pause right here.
Okay. I'm glad it's paused. That's nice. A lot of people are given promotions or put into a situation and there's zero training. It's like, here you go. Here's this. Here's that. Do the job.
Don't die. Don't try anybody.
Right. So go back to what you're doing.
So back into embracing the suck. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow and become better.
Yeah.
And this is the big part of what I'm trying to say. When somebody pisses you off, really fires you up, manager, customer, husband, wife, whatever, really pisses you off. Again, they're just being them. It's what I call the is. Whatever they're doing just is. You're reacting to it.
Right.
And you're right. What you said is, it's hard. It's easier said than done. It's real simple for me to say it.
Right.
It took me 42 years of my life to get to this point to go, you know what, every time I feel it churning up, I know physiologically what's happening to me, for me to stop and go, they don't control me.
Right.
How do I want to react? And here's one thing we know. Every time we blow up on somebody, friend, anybody, we blow up. What happens one day, 1 week, 1 month later? We realized we were wrong. We shouldn't have reacted that way. We got over it. Eventually, somebody's got to be the bigger person and apologize, and then become friends. Or in certain instances,
or it doesn't
don't.
happen. Right.
It doesn't happen, and
you both lose.
You both lose. But here's the thing: if every single time you're going to get over it, why not just get over it right away?
Great question. Hard to do.
Bullshit.
It can be a struggle.
I do it every day.
Yeah, well, whatever.
You know what keeps people from
What do
doing
you punch yourself in the face?
Every day.
Okay. Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Pause. Maston Kip is the person that...
Sounds like a workout.
he's a pretty incredible guy. In fact, he's got a new book out. I'll pimp his book, by the way. It's called Claim Your Power. It's a 40-day as you read through this process to get you back to you, to find you.
Grab your set, you say you're a man.
Yeah,
Men,
pretty cool
men,
stuff.
men,
Well,
men, 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 men. Okay.
all right.
Men.
What are you morphing into? Oh.
Ah.
Okay.
Anyway, so again, why not just go over it? But here's the reason why. It's emotion. Emotion is what drives it. It's what fuels it. It's what gets us fired. It's just what gets us going. Logic and emotion are inversely proportionate. They don't share the same space. So we've talked about that in the past. If you were highly logical, and the fact what I just stated was highly logical, you will always get over it at some point in time, and then you'll realize how stupid you were, how shitty you looked, or what a butthead
and how do you feel when you?
Oh, you're
when
a schmuck.
Yeah,
I feel like a total schmuck.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And then you're mad at yourself, right? So you've taken the pain of what you envisioned from that other person, from that situation. So you've taken that pain, and I'm mad, and I'm pissed, and then you have thought through it or gotten through it. And now you're going through it again, only in a different path because you're mad at yourself.
Yeah. And the lowest of emotional intelligence is you and I have gotten in a fight and I'm mad. Now I'm going to make sure everybody I connect with today, I'm going to be pissed off at them too.
Right.
And that's kind of the lowest.
I'm going to let them know it's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. I mean, I didn't do anything because I'm perfect.
Right. Yeah.
You were wrong.
Right.
Right? And again, my favorite phrase that I state to everybody, in the pursuit of trying to make yourself right, you make yourself wrong.
Right. That's why if you're the front of the situation with an issue, whether it be a customer or whatever, don't blame other people. They don't really care. Fall on the sword.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
back
fall
to
on the sword.
back to the suck.
Everybody.
Nothing sucks. Nothing's either great nor is it ever bad. Things just are. We put the definition to it.
Right.
Right? So whether you've got a project that's a lot of work that you're not looking forward to, it doesn't suck. You're the one that said it sucked. Situations just are. People just are. Colors just are. Day is tonight as anything else. So we are the ones that contrast it.
All right. So with all of this, let's go back to the ownership or the boss or the manager. And as we've talked through all of this, I would love them to go, you know what? I don't really know if I know my people. I don't really know if I know what their wants and needs are. Not that it's your job to give them all of that, but it's your job to help them become better. And in doing so, they're going to help make you better.
What do you think about an employee? Because as we're talking about this, some people are going to be triggered to go, you know what? My company isn't as invested in me. You know what? My manager doesn't know about me. What if I challenge this? What if you, the employee, go to your manager and go, hey, you've had a certain level of success to get this position. I'm very interested to hear how you got here.
Right.
Now, what do you think the manager or employer, whatever this person is going to do? One, they're going to be intrigued you're asking.
Right.
Two, they're probably, some base of ego, are going to talk about how they got there. Right?
Feel some point of respect of like,
you asked me a question, I respect it, right. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to probably read your body language, so make sure that you're engaged and listening.
Right.
And naturally, they're going to ask some kind of closing question. What is it that you're interested in? What are you trying to get to? Tell me about you. How did you get here? And what you're going to create is dialogue.
Right.
And in that dialogue, you're going to gain a lot.
And you can even do that with an employee, with colleagues or bosses or managers, and go, you know what? I'm a little intimidated by you. And I don't want to be.
Yeah.
And it's going to do the exact same thing that you just said. The person's going to go, really? Me? I mean,
it's funny. I went to an employee that I'm getting to know. Well, I haven't been able to work with him for a few months. Going into this other department, and I just went up to that employee and go, "You're kind of a badass, and I want to know how you got here." And kind of just like your facial expression, he smirked and smiled and goes, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah, I don't know if you know how badass you are, but you are. Teach me."
Immediate connection.
Immediate.
Yeah.
But instead, right, we just don't even take the time.
Right.
You can do that with almost anybody. I challenge those of you who work at a big company to just go somewhere and while you're walking through, if you see somebody smiling, go, "Dude, it's great seeing you smile today.
Right.
Thank you."
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Appreciate gratitude.
Yeah.
Or somebody that is either above you or elevated beyond you. Maybe it's somebody that's doing your same job, but they just seem to perform better. And you're used to saying, I don't know what John over there is doing or what Susie over there is doing. You know what? God, they're so full of themselves. Whatever it is, if you've judged or you've ignored, I challenge you. Go over and go, "You're kind of a badass."
Yeah, that's great.
Can you?
But you know what?
Tell me how you got here.
As we talk about this, this is how you and I became friends. You went through a shitty situation, and I was like, "Dude,
this sucks.
That's not okay. Sorry it happened. What can I do for you?"
Well, I always knew it was going to end in a podcast with us.
Yeah, well, and that's great that it did. But to the point of what he's talking about, we're buds.
Yeah.
And it's nice. So, but yeah.
And at one point, could have been perceived as competitors because we worked for two opposing companies doing the same job. So in theory, we could have been competitors seen from the outside.
Well, we were competitors, right?
We were, but
But we made each other better, too.
We were also collaborators.
Absolutely.
So we competed friendly, but we collaborated in the
common enemies.
Goal. Correct. Absolutely.
Right.
And so kind of going back to employee, right? This isn't about them. It isn't about your employer. It isn't about the employees you work with. It isn't about those who are outperforming you. It isn't about the assholes or the pains in the asses. In the end, this does come down to you. And while I'm very spiritual, and in the spiritual realm, you talk about everything kind of holistically. How does everything tie into it? You can't take care of somebody else till you take care of you.
Right.
Okay, I'll just say that in the financial. How am I supposed to help a friend in need financially if I'm broke?
Right.
So I need to financially secure myself before I can help somebody else.
Right.
Now, at the same time, making myself financially secure doesn't mean I can go help everybody or I'll be financially insecure again. But emotionally and through knowledge, here's the deal. It's about you. You have somebody that's there that you're competing with or working with, or that's an employer or a manager or whatever. This is about you. And not ego about you. Right. This is about your own journey, your own growth. Learn something.
But you always, if you, like, even back to the smile, hey, thank you for the smile today. I needed that. You're a badass, whatever. That elevates you. When you do that, just automatically by elevating that other person, you elevate yourself.
Let's call it what it is. It's a level of karma. I want to put good out, and I will receive good back. Now, in the theory here, this is where people think about karma. Man, I've been doing good, and I ain't getting nothing but shit on. Okay, quit looking for the damn rewards.
Right.
Okay? You have to know deeper that I got to put good out. Thank you for that smile today. You may say that to a person you walk by you've never ever met. And you have no idea that 1 year down the road, you might be on the side of the road with a blown tire and that person pulls over and goes, "You're the guy who complimented my smile." In psychology, I remember they said, a negative comment doesn't last very long, but a positive comment can last up to 10 years. People will just embrace and remember it.
And one of the things I've been trying, because everybody's wearing masks now, and you go into stores, and there's a lot of places you have to have one on. So my goal has been, I'm going to make this person smile, and I'll see it in their eyes. And it's interesting doing that, because you're working on yourself as you're presenting that to the other people. But it's really kind of, you can get more people to smile than not, which is a nice thing.
Again, it goes back to the point we made earlier when we were talking about connecting versus managing. Connect. You know, I
see, and we're back to communication.
We're right back
which
to communication.
Is the core of
But you know,
everything.
Here's the thing: communication isn't always the connecting factor. I guess you can call it that. But like, you know, I run on the weekends, and every time I pass by a runner, I always pat my chest to show them, you know, you got my heart, because I'm running too, and it hurts like a son of a bitch. And so what I'm saying is, you and I are one.
Patting your chest, or you? I'm coming. I see the light.
Defibrillating myself every time. No, I do it as a connection, right? And so I guess it's a form of communication, but at the same time, it's just symbolism too. That I'm saying.
But they get it.
You and I are one.
Hey, brothers.
Yeah, or
riding
brothers,
motorcycles,
sister, whatever. Yeah.
Every
motorcycle, right? Bicyclist. You know, head nods to people.
Right.
Just that symbolism of a level of connection.
Right.
Don't get so lost in your shit. There's more going on in this world. Embrace, love, communicate, connect with people. For God's sakes, learn from people. Does it take time? Sure. But let me tell you, an ounce of just a little gratitude will give you pounds back.
And if you look for it and work towards it, you're going to find more of it.
Yeah, and reciprocity is weird. Again, going back to my karma theory, just typical karma theory, which is just put good out there, good will come back. But don't look for it. Don't expect it. Don't give a man $1 and expect that he's going to give you the $1 back. Just be a giver. All of us are good by nature. We've learned our nature. And so I feel that most people are good by nature. There's some bad people out there, but those are top traits. Here's the thing. You make people better, it makes you better. That's why teachers teach.
Absolutely.
You know, it accentuates the knowledge they have. It makes them more deeper rooted, and it just makes them better because they're making other people better.
Well, it goes back to working with the employees that we've worked with, and we want to give them and support them. And, you know, like some of them have said, you know, oh, thanks, it's because of this you know, I'm here. And no, it's because you took it and made it you, is because you're there.
Yeah.
Now pass it on.
One of my favorite books, or what I call my success Bible, is Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Okay, and the thing it says in there, it's one of his laws of success. And if you don't know much about Napoleon Hill, he wrote a 700-page manuscript, turned it into a smaller manuscript, which became Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
So I read the Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, 700 pages, and one of those laws, one of those rules state that true success, to really become successful, you must always do more than that of which you are paid. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so this kind of goes right back to what we're saying. If you went through and you high-fived everybody, told everybody how great they are, what badasses they are, God, I want to learn from you, and you did that with everybody, and you did it truly and genuinely without reciprocity or hoping for anything back, you will ultimately become that much better, that much more successful. When you're in need or you need something, okay? Take, for instance, service industry. All of a sudden, dude, I really need your help. I know it's 5 minutes to close, but this customer, it's an emergency.
Right.
That person's going to go, you know what, man? I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's going to go, hell no, man. We're 5 minutes to close. Tell that customer to go away.
Yeah.
And so, in an instance, all these people, me putting these ounces out, the pounds I get back they're going to happily serve me back.
Well, it changes the I to we.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what our world needs, particularly now.
There's no I in team, but there's an M and an E.
There is, but however, you do have to go back to there's an I in win. But yes. That was name escapes me.
Yeah.
Who's one of the greatest basketball players of all time?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yes.
Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
Michael Jordan.
Yes. It was Jordan that said that. But there is in win.
You're gonna make me name Larry Bird. I was just gonna name every basketball player I know.
Yeah.
Right?
But you're rolling. That's good.
I love it. Yeah, in the end. So, but again, making it about you is just, and it's such a hard topic to talk about, because to say it's about me is ego. When you say it has to be me spiritually, I have to grow in order to grow others.
Right.
Okay. And we know this in management. In management, we set the bar, because your people will only go as high as you set the bar. And so if you set a low bar with low expectations, that's where people are going to go.
But if you learn who they are and help support them to where they want to go, and they give that back to you, you're gonna go higher than any bar you could even set.
Okay, so here's my challenge for our viewers today. I want you to connect with somebody you've never connected before. I want you to engage with somebody. I want you to just try it. Just test it out.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Can we get some feedback too? Do we got
feedback. We've got 2minutescotch@gmail.com.
Right. So 2minutescotch@gmail.com. So take the challenge that Brian's saying, and we would like to hear back on some of that.
Yeah, please.
I would like to know.
Or share a story.
Exactly. And we'll be happy to bring that up and share it on the podcast. But yeah.
Okay. Well, again, we're going to continue to talk, and I've said it since the beginning. I think it's time that we focus on engaging it. I want to talk about getting people to $100,000 a year. And not for the sake of anything more, but let's just talk about financial freedom. I chose the number as $100,000 because a lot of people, median income in the United States is around $66,000. So making $100,000 seems to be a hard pressed thing for some people to do. If you're already making 100, 150, or 200, fine. Make 100,000, 500,000. I don't care.
Right.
Set the goal a little bit higher, but I want to talk about how you do it and how it can be done. And for some of us, we've been there, we've gone down, we've been back and forth, we've gone through different journeys in our life. But there are certain key aspects to income and making money and focus. So ultimately, goal focus and how to get there. And I really want to talk about
that. Yeah, we could do that. That might be a couple segments in that one, though.
Oh, it's probably a few segments. Yeah, I can't. If I could teach you in 1 minute to an hour and 20 minutes how to make $100,000, yeah, this would be worth a ton of money. It's a lot of pieces. You got to put those pieces together. And obviously, the motivational world and the book world and everything is filled with it. And it's not just about money. It's really about achievement.
I think the first thing you got to do is go inside. You have to know who you are, and you have to be okay with who you are, and you have to know what you want to do, and when it blows up, it still has to be okay. You know, you can still walk that path and get there. I mean, there's a lot of self in what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And we want to talk about the pitfalls because you will hit pitfalls in it, and those pitfalls are necessary.
And we would also like input. I mean, if there's certain topics that you'd like us to, research and talk about, I mean, love to have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for listening to 2 Men and a Scotch. Obviously, today's episode, why some employers suck. We've all worked for them, but in the end, it's not so much about the employer, it's about us and our perceptions, and we can always learn no matter what environment we are in. I hope all of you learn this week.
Make yourself better and make people around you better. Right? Cheers. Love you. Thank you, Sarah and Brandon. Appreciate it.
I'm just kidding.